Alright, so by popular demand, I'm making a video on how I make my tones and everything. I know a couple people requested that I do a video on how I make my tones and stuff for my videos, so here it is. First thing you want to do, just open a new project. I don't like these grid lines here, they're optional, you can take them off just by selecting this thing up here. And we'll just enter in a new track. So for effects, I have like really bad noise issues, like hissing and stuff, so I always put a noise gate. And I use Reaper as well. It's a pretty good software that you can use. It's basically audio suppression for your guitar signal. uh, I usually save my gates, so this is just kind of like the outline you want to use if you have bad noise as well. This kind of like eliminates some of the high end stuff right here. You don't want to eliminate too much or else your tone is just gonna be like trash. And I kind of spike it up here around low end because I notice that when I chug, there's a lot more hissing. So I save this. Edit mode is precise. The actual mode you want to have is on subtract, that actually eliminates the hissing. And the quality size you want it to around 1024, or if your PC can handle it, 2048. I usually have it at 1024 though. So now I guess we can just start with a simple justice tone. So you can pick up this tube screamer, I'll leave it linked down in the description. I usually have my input gain around 5. I don't mess with the drive, leave it on 808 mode. The tone, you want to kind of cut it back halfway, and level, just leave where it is. So this simple, guitar signal, it's gonna be a little muddied up, and yeah, it kind of makes it more dirtier and adds a little bit more drive gain to your tone. So now locate the Mega Fuzzy, and this preamp is something that I use for most of my tones. I'm cheap and I don't like any other amp sims. So for this simple justice tone, high gain, high frequency gain, I usually keep it all the way up, and low frequency gain, I have it not all the way down, but I kind of boost it up a little bit. That just kind of eliminates the squeakiness of the tone, all in all. And it's, yeah. Gain, you want to kind of cut that back. Say right about here. PA drive, I always have this up kind of around 10, 11 o'clock. Bass, I always cut back, just because like my guitar, it's not really all that. I don't have active pickups or anything, so I have a bass issue as well, so I always kind of cut that back. And post-processing and EQing, I always compress my low ends and bass and stuff. I'll show you that later. So mids, I'll keep it up, but not too up to where it becomes the black tone. What about there? Treble, Justice doesn't have that much treble, even though it has ear piercing treble. So I'm gonna keep this right around here. Depth, depth can come up a little bit, and presence, we'll put right around 10 o'clock. And you can flip the stereo on or off. I usually flip it on. And now comes the cool part. So NatIR, I'll leave this link in the description as well as for all the other amp sims and VSTs and stuff that I use. So NatIR, I make my own IRs, and I'll show that in a separate video. But for now, I'll get my IRs here, and quick Justice tone, my Justice IR. Justice has like a little bit of reverb slash room, I guess you could say. If you listen to the isolated tracks, you'll hear once the guitar signal comes to an immediate halt, there's like room reverberation. And I guess you can kind of recreate that by selecting the percentage of room on NatIR. You don't really hear much of a difference with this little factor here. which is why I go in post-processing and I added my own reverb. I'll show that later, but this is optional, so if you guys want, just select this. For justice, I will put it right around 15%, but we'll leave that off for now. Low pass, this is my regular. I usually keep this around 10 kilohertz. High pass stays at 10, and resonance, I usually crank this up to about 65. Input, if you want, you can put, I usually keep it 1.26 decibels higher than the straight DI signal. So yeah, for now this will have to do. So all in all, this is gonna be the main tone. There's not much to it. I'll put a link in the description for what this tone sounds like, just dry signal, and I'll track it a couple times so you guys can hear how it sounds in its full potential. So this is just the straight guitar tutorial, I guess, for how I make my tones. This is just a quick justice tone, nothing really too fancy. And here's a little trick I like to do. So what you're gonna do here, I have a little bit different layout than you guys might have. I'm using Reaper as my DAW. So what you want to do is, if you go to your track and you go up to the left side, or if you guys have a different layout, it might be over here somewhere, but you want to click this plus button, and what that does is it makes this bare bones track a bus for your guitar track here. So now that we have this bus, we can go ahead and select EQing, compressing, VSTs, and all that stuff. So this is my compression VST FabFilter Pro MB. Now for the signal, what you want to do is sort of around 50 to 100. Right here, you can kind of cut down the range, and you can either scoop it, boost it. What this is gonna do is it's gonna eliminate when you chug down on like any power chord. It's gonna eliminate the amount of bass, the amount of rumble that is exerted from a guitar signal. And this is just pretty basic here. You can mess with this or whatever. Mids, right around 500 to 1k hertz. You put this bad boy down, you can change the slope of it by decibels, and what this does, it changes the way that the mids react to different like guitar sounds. So when you're plucking on these different strings and you want to cut these mids, the mids are gonna react differently. You can boost, the amount of signal it's gonna take in, or you can cut it and it's just gonna be really super low. But for now, I'll just keep it right around here. And this is like my basic kind of setup here. This is what usually all of my compression stands look like for all of my tones, including the high frequency cut. I usually have to cut like right around 6.5 decibels. And these options here, you can mess with these. I don't really mess with them too much except for ratio and the attack. There's not much to it there though. It's really all by ear. Something cool with FabFilter is you can solo out the different frequency chains, and it'll let you hear what it sounds like, so you can determine how much you need to cut and or boost. So yeah, that's it guys.